Welcome to Amali Vlogs. Today we are going to talk about how to do a research on the industries that matches your skill set and your values. In my previous videos, we talked about the self-assessment and analyze the job market demand, where you can find out what are the jobs in demand that you need to get into the next step of your career. And today we are going to do some researches that matches that's going to help you to match the industry with the skills and the values you looking and the interest you have. So unless you have seen the last two videos, don't come to this one directly because we have a lot of information in the previous videos. So make sure you check those and then come to this one. So that will help you to understand what I'm talking in this video. Okay, so research about the industries that matches your skill set. Let me explain this also in example, so I can explain you on what are the skills and what is the industry that match the most according to that, right? So like let's say languages, like a lot of languages, like 2-3 languages that you have under your belt. That is a skill. Sometimes people actually worry a lot that you don't know this, you don't know that. Don't worry about the things you don't know. There are always things that people can do that they are good at. That is like a must. If you don't know anything, you still have 2 hands and 2 legs that you can even do some heavy work, right? So don't worry. As long as you have one skill, of course everybody has more than one skill. But if you have one skill, you still have a job. But only thing, you need to value it, understand it, and improve that skill so you can get into the job market where you can pass the other people and get into the next opportunity. Like of course there are a lot of candidates, but for you to prove yourself, improve and have a value to that skill you have. If you have 2-3 skills, perfect, that's even better. But don't worry, even if you have one skill, there is a job for you. Okay, so let's say you have several languages. What is the first thing that comes to your mind when it comes to look for a job opportunity? Number 1 is teaching. Yes, we all think of teaching. It's always good to learn few languages. Like let's say I know English and I can teach English to a person who knows Russian. I don't know Russian. It will be hard because I cannot understand the person, because she or he can only speak in Russian and I don't know Russian at all. So it is hard for me. But if you know Russian and English both, that is very easy for you to understand the student and get into their shoe and teach them. So that is a skill you have. If you know 2-3 languages, you can always get into teaching. So you can look for industries that where they have tutoring opportunities, where they have like in schools. There are a lot of public schools that are hiring. A lot of industries that where they deal with several languages. Some people even for recruiters or even maybe some managers, they look for bilingual skills. I mean, that is something that they specifically mention in their job role. Like let's say if you go to a different country, whereas like let's say you go to Russia, they look for people who know Russian and English both to get into the job market, because of course there are a lot of Russians in the country as well as their main language could be English. So they want to communicate in English, as well as they need to make sure that the person knows Russian as well. Even they work as a manager or they work in the customer service industry, they need this skill. So there are a lot of opportunities if you know these, few languages that are in high demand, like English, French, Spanish, especially in US, and other languages according to the country you live in. So that is not the only thing. Teaching is not the only opportunity you have. If you know languages, there's some more, lot of opportunities. What is the other thing I can think of is translating. If you have the opportunity to know languages, there are very good opportunity for you to go and be as a translator, work as a translator. You can be a live translator where you translate then and there. Like let's say you be the third party, you stay on the phone, and as soon as they talk in the same time, you translate it to the other language. Like let's say I talk in Russian or I talk in French, and the person who's working as a translator, they can translate it to English, and then and there the listener can listen it in the language in English that they understand. You can even be a translator to translate documents. Doesn't have to be live translation, right? And there are other opportunities as a translator. You can even like work in a place where that customers come in, and you can be on site and then translate accordingly if the person needs some help. There are some opportunities like that as well. So you need to find those industries, research on those industries where they look for translators, they look for somebody who has the bilingual skill, so you can get into that role. There's another way that I recently actually found out. There's a site called Voices, I believe, voices.com. In that, you can actually, if you know few languages, you can dub. You can dub into advertisements, you can dub into movies, you can dub into several things. You can even be like a reader, like a read a book, like audio book, make it an audio book. They look for people who can speak several languages, so they can get their help to translate a book to an audio book, a written document to audio. So those opportunities are very well in demand. That's why I mentioned that you need to do some research where these skills are recognized. If you have a skill, this is one thing I talked about. As I mentioned, like if you don't have like soft skills, you can have like that technical skills I talked about. Like let's say like a lot of languages as like in technical side, like Python, Java. You can look for developers. There are lots and lots of IT companies who look for developers. There are lots and lots of people who create softwares, create apps in phone. So they look for developers every day, mostly every day. So if you know your demand, if you know your skills, if you know you like that, go for it, apply, go and check into the industries, research and see what are the industries who look into this type of people. You can apply. So research on the companies. That you can do through LinkedIn, through Google, also through Indeed. If you're applying in Indeed, you can also go into the company page and see whether this is, sometimes there are fake companies as well. So make sure, do a proper research in the industry, in the company, so you know where you are heading, what you are getting into before you even get the job. So those are the things we really need to look into when it comes to find the right company that you want to settle down for the next few years, or maybe even until you retire. Next video, we are going to talk about how to build network. That I will talk about like a lot of good points on different ways on how to build your network, build a network with the professionals, industry level, top management people. That way you can directly approach them in finding a job. So stay tuned for that, and until then, subscribe to my channel. You will see me again in Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, and YouTube as well. So subscribe to all those channels so you can keep up to date about everything that I talk about your job, your career, and will help you in every possible way to get into your next opportunity. Thank you then. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.